Marriage in movies is a complicated thing. Not so much in American movies, which, as Janine Basinger points out, are usually about the chase and then end with the wedding. In Frank Capra's Here Comes the Groom, the movie ends with a marriage resulting from a plot involving two French orphans and one Bing Crosby. Despite the complications, everything ends well. In these sorts of movies, we never do find out what happens afterwards, but we assume everything works out happily ever after. There are, however, lots of movies that reveal marriage to be the ultimate battlefield. Scarlet Street was based on the novel La Chienne, beautifully filmed 15 years earlier by Renoir in France. In this American version, directed by Fritz Lang, a mild-mannered man is on the way home from a work party one night when he sees a man attacking a girl. He intervenes. Then later, he strikes up a rapport with the girl. She's so pretty and in need of help. It stirs his loins to have rescued her. Later, we find out that the man beating the girl was actually her pimp/boyfriend, who encourages her to scam the old man, who they believe is a famous artist. Notice her round purse, which resembles a bullseye. Believing the old man to be a famous painter, she gives him a daisy, and when he gets home, he commemorates it by painting it in his bathroom, the only space in the apartment that his shrewish wife will allow him to use. He is her second husband. The first, a decorated police officer, apparently drowned while trying to rescue someone. The old wife hates the man's paintings and threatens to throw out all his art stuff. She is horrible. In personal retaliation, he decides to rent and pay for an apartment for the girl, a place where he can spend time with her and maybe do his painting. The apartment, in typical movie fashion, is huge and beautiful, the perfect place for tragedy to unfold. The pimp decides to sell the artist's paintings and is surprised when a major art critic buys them. Somehow, the critic tracks them back to the girl's apartment. This art is a big hit, but when the critic asks who the artist is, the pimp says that it's the girl who did them.
No, Johnny, no.
Oh, don't be so modest, Miss March. Now, you see, you got me in bed. She made me promise not to tell. That's why I made out like I didn't know.
She seems shocked by the idea, but has no choice but to play along. Then later, the sour old wife sees one of her husband's paintings in a gallery window and goes home and confronts him.
How long have you known Catherine March?
He seems even more of a fraud to her now. But at that moment, the artist also realizes that he has been betrayed in the worst possible way. He confronts the girl, but as usual, she talks her way out of it. He's such a fool, just thinking with his dick. He ends up justifying her actions, and they hug. Later, the wife's supposedly dead husband resurfaces. He tries to extort the artist, which is insulting. But the artist decides to use the situation to kill two birds with one stone. He sets up the guy to break into their apartment to steal the insurance money from his supposed death. When the former husband enters the bedroom, the shrewish wife screams in horror. It is probably the only moment of revenge the artist will ever get to enjoy.
Johnny. Oh, Johnny.
Lazy.
Then, going back to the girl's apartment, he sees her kissing the pimp, and he runs off.
Come on, Johnny, I heard you.
He comes back later, and he tries to reframe the narrative by blaming the pimp for everything. He also declares that he is now single and free to marry the girl. Her reaction is weird, though. She sobs, then laughs, goading him as he grips an ice pick. She really pushes the humiliation thing, realizing too late that she has accidentally inspired murderous rage. She isn't very bright.
ever since I first met you. You're old and ugly, and I'm sick of you. Sick, sick, sick.
Kitty, for heaven's sake.
You killed Johnny? I'd like to see you try. Why, he'd break every bone in your body. He's a man. You don't want to marry me? You? Get out of here. Get out. Get away from me. Chris, get away from me. Chris.
In blinding anger, he stabs the bitch, which is literally the title of the source material. Then he grabs his stuff and leaves. The pimp shows up just at the wrong time and gets fingered for the crime. Though the artist gets away with murder, literally, he does get caught for stealing money from his company. All the money used to pay for that ill-fated apartment. The boss won't press charges, but the artist is utterly disgraced.
Get up. Come on, get up.
It isn't long before he is haunted by those he killed.
It's you.
He totally falls apart, basically becoming a bum, sleeping on a park bench. His guilt has finished him off. But wait, things get even worse when he walks past the gallery window and sees the very same portrait of her that he painted with all his heart. It has just been purchased for $10,000, none of which he will ever collect. Poor old man. Neither his real marriage to the shrew or his fake marriage to the hooker could give him any kind of happiness. Instead, they just invited absolute ruin.
There goes her masterpiece.
Yasujiro Ozu directed What Did the Lady Forget in 1937. It's the story of a middle-class Japanese couple. She has her network of friends. He has his business pursuits. One day their niece comes to visit. The niece is a handful. She smokes, stays out late, flirts with men. Auntie does not really approve. Uncle, on the other hand, finds her a breath of fresh air. They have long conversations and they plot activities together, although infidelity is never the issue in this movie. She expects her husband to go golfing every weekend. It's the only activity she sanctions. So one weekend, he decides to lie. He'd rather hang out with his friend, a nice young guy. They just want to chill and drink mass quantities. The husband's big mistake is that he writes a postcard to his wife, telling her that the weather is beautiful at the golf course, even though it actually rains all weekend. The ball-busting wife finds out about the lie, and she confronts him. Depressed at being henpecked all the time, the niece takes him out for a drink and tells him he needs to stand up to her. When they get home, the wife angrily demands to know where they've been, and then tells the niece to get lost. But when she accuses her husband of spoiling the niece and encouraging the behavior, he reaches his breaking point. He slaps his wife. Later, there are apologies, and the niece tries to explain to the wife to maybe lighten up a bit. Then the niece finally leaves, taking her tumult with her, so the couple can finally sit down and get as close to full horniness as is possible for these two. The slap seems to have been needed. It cleared the foul air lingering over this marriage. He gains a bit more breathing room, and she seems a bit turned on, as though the fact that he stood up to her finally is exactly what she didn't know she needed. This union seems to be working. The marriage in Russ Meyer's Lorna seems ideal at first. Two beautiful physical specimens devoted to sexually satisfying each other. Except the poor husband can't keep up with his wife's ravenous carnal desires. She is a free spirit, a party gal who gave up a lot in order to marry this poor dumb hunk. Look, she gave up this whole montage of neon signs and wild dancing. Now, she's a housewife, living in a tar paper shack somewhere in the South, away from all the big fun and syphilis. One day, an escaped convict shows up, and not just any escaped convict, a beefy hunk, obviously very horny from being in prison, and clearly virile and dominant. He finds Lorna in a meadow, and she responds with a mixture of terror and arousal, because that's how everybody in a Russ Meyer movie responds, with terror and arousal. And unlike her husband, he has what it takes to satisfy her carnal appetite. The husband works in a salt mine. His co-workers tease him, say that he isn't man enough for so much woman. The husband mentions that it is their 1-year anniversary, and the boys sing him a little song.
How long you been married, boy?
A year. As a matter of fact, today's our first anniversary.
Oh, good. Happy anniversary. Come on, sort of say happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Come on, let's say happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Meanwhile, Lorna and the escaped convict get it on. He definitely has the energy and desire to try to satisfy her.
You smell so good.
Lorna ultimately feels guilty for fucking around. When her husband finally comes home from work that day, she screams as the convict lashes out with an axe. In the end, the convict gets a knife in the back, but Lorna also falls on a meat hook. She dies for her sins. Again, poor husband. The movie doesn't say anything new about marriage, but it does dare to suggest that although the insatiable can be devoted partners, they probably can never be monogamous.
I love you. But his wife looked back from behind him and became a pillar of salt.
Finally, there is marriage gone horribly wrong, which is usually what happens when you marry a pervert. The rich man in Louis Buñuel's Elle notices his future wife's feet even before he sees her face. At the time, he is participating in a ceremony at the Roman Catholic Church. This is a ceremony that references the Bible story where Jesus washes the feet of his disciples. But in Buñuel's church, there is also something definitely homoerotic and depraved happening here as well. Though she still prefers this other man, a kindly lawyer, the woman decides to marry the rich guy, who, believe it or not, is still a virgin. He continues to fetishize her feet. They live in a spectacular mansion, rendered with an artist's flair. But he is also an extremely paranoid and jealous man. He dislikes his wife having a personal life or talking to other people.
Con que fuiste a quejarte al padre Velasco. Pues para que no vuelvas a contarle a nadie nuestros asuntos privados.
Bueno, pero...
Te extraña verme viva, ¿verdad? Días después me dijo que solo había querido darme una lección. No querrás creerlo. Había puesto...
She simply cannot get free of this maniac. One day, he takes her to a bell tower and rants about how much he despises other people and how inferior they are. And then he tries to choke her and throw her off the tower. Why does he want to kill her so badly? Will that free him of his jealousy and fetishism? The jealousy increases. When he believes that an innocent man in the next room is actually spying on his wife, he grabs a needle and pushes it through the keyhole. Apparently, the character is somewhat based on Buñuel's brother-in-law, who believed that Buñuel had been making fun of him in public and even grabbed a gun and stormed off before the family convinced him that Buñuel was out of town at the time. Finally, the madness reaches its peak. When he is anxious, the rich man has a weird habit of zigzagging back and forth, as he does here on the staircase. Then, grabbing an iron rod, he starts pounding out a beat. It's the sound inside his head. The poor woman finally breaks free, and years later she has a child with the lawyer. So it's a happy ending for her. As for the rich man, he seeks solace in a monastery. But as we can see by his habit of walking in a zigzag pattern, he's still as crazy as he ever was. So, marriage in movies is never a simple or easy thing. In fact, if we have learned anything at all, it is that there likely is no happily ever after.